What's the most disturbing thing you discovered about someone after they died? Grandpa Joe was this cantankerous old guy who complained about everything. Taxes, neighbors, the government, young people. Classic bitter retiree who seemed to hate the world. Growing up, he'd lecture me about wasting money, being irresponsible, how kids today don't understand hard work. Never showed much emotion except annoyance. Family gatherings were tense because Grandpa Joe would criticize everyone's life choices. After his funeral, I started cleaning out his cluttered house. 40 years of accumulated junk in every room. I was dreading the basement because that's where he stored his most random stuff. While moving boxes, I accidentally knocked over this old filing cabinet. The impact caused the back panel to shift, revealing there was space behind it, like a hidden compartment built into the basement wall. Inside was this small room, maybe 6 by 8 feet, lined with filing cabinets and boxes. But these weren't random storage. Everything was meticulously organized with labels and dates going back 30 years. The first box I opened was filled with thank you letters, hundreds of them, all addressed to anonymous donor, but somehow delivered to my grandfather. Letters from families thanking someone for paying their hospital bills, covering their rent, buying groceries when they lost jobs. Dear anonymous donor, because of your gift, my daughter could get the surgery she needed. We'll never be able to thank you enough for saving her life. You paid our electric bill when we were about to be shut off in winter. Our baby stayed warm because of your kindness. I found bank statements showing monthly transfers to something called Community Relief Fund. Thousands of dollars every month for decades. My grandfather had been secretly donating almost his entire pension to help strangers, but it got deeper. There were detailed files on dozens of families, medical records, financial situations, even school report cards. Grandpa Joe had been researching people in need and targeting his help specifically. The Johnson family, their son had leukemia. Grandpa paid for treatments insurance wouldn't cover. The Williams, single mom working 3 jobs. He covered her kids' school supplies and lunches for years. The elderly Martinez couple, he'd been paying their prescription costs monthly. Most shocking were the investigation reports. Grandpa Joe had hired a private investigator to find people who needed help but were too proud to ask. Families facing medical bankruptcy, veterans struggling with bills, single parents choosing between groceries and rent. I found receipts for things that made me cry. Anonymous Christmas gifts delivered to foster kids, college tuition payments for students who couldn't afford school, even wedding dresses bought for brides whose families had no money. There were photos too. Grandpa Joe secretly attending graduations of kids whose education he'd funded, hiding in the back during weddings he'd paid for, watching from his car as families moved into apartments he'd saved from eviction. The most heartbreaking discovery was a letter he'd written but never sent. I know I seem angry all the time. Truth is, I'm angry at how unfair life is for good people. This is the only way I know how to fix small pieces of it. He'd been living like a miser, complaining about every expense while secretly giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars. His grumpy personality was just a cover so people wouldn't suspect his generosity. I found one final envelope marked for Marcus. Inside was a bank account number with $50,000 and instructions to keep the work going but don't let anyone know it's you. The last letter in his files was addressed to me. Being angry was easier than admitting I cared too much. Don't make my mistake. Let people know you love them while you can. I've been continuing his work for 8 months now. Every month I research families in need and anonymously help them. But unlike Grandpa Joe, I make sure to hug my family and tell them I love them. The grumpy old man who seemed to hate everything had actually been the most compassionate person I've ever known.